My name's Alan Walker. I'm the manager of Poole's Cavern, and here we are deep down inside this marvellous cave. During lockdown, it's been left to its own devices for the last few months. Apart from the odd cave scientist who's been visiting the cave over the years, we've done a tremendous amount of scientific research in Poole's Cavern. That really follows on from the legacy of the very early visitors to the cave who came down here and discovered archaeological finds in this first part of the cave, which we know as the Roman chamber. We know that Professor William Boyd Dawkins, who was the curator of Manchester Museum, wrote papers about the discoveries that were found in here in the 1800s. And later on, a local geologist and archaeologist, Wilfred Jackson, who lived in Buxton, came and visited the cave and wrote many papers and possibly even excavated in this first part of the cavern. When the Buxton Civic Association took over the cave in the 1970s, the cave path was widened, and alongside that work, digging through this glacial sediment, it was decided to do an archaeological study of the caves, because the early Victorian diggers hadn't really recorded very well what was found. So between 1980 and 1982, a local group of amateur archaeologists, guided by Professor Brannigan from Sheffield University, dug in here and discovered over 4,000 artefacts dating from the Neolithic right through to the Bronze Age and the Romano-British times, the time when Buxton was known as Aqua Arnemetia. So this cave had some very significant prehistoric use, ranging from a habitation where people would have come and sheltered from the cold Buxton weather, right through to possibly being used as a shrine or a shelter by local people trading with the Romans. And we found lots of beautiful bronze artifacts in the cave, lots of beautiful Roman pottery, which is now mostly stored in Buxton Museum and of course in our collection at the Visitors Centre. In more modern times, the archaeologists have turned to more microscopic studies of the cave. The layers of sediments that are throughout this part of the cavern were washed in by glacial floods. And in those layers, those laminations, which marked each year's flood event through the cavern, are tiny spores and seeds which were washed in by the floods. And these record the changes of the climate, because the seeds were from plants which survived in different climatic conditions. So looking through these layers is looking like down through the leaves of a book, and you can read very, very clearly the different layers of the ages of the sediments, and the tiny spores and the seeds give some idea of the climatic conditions that occurred over many, many thousands of years. So in many ways, caves are a kind of time capsule. They record history going back many millennia. Geologists believe this cave to be at least 2 million years old. So we've got a tremendous amount of resources that we can tap into to study in this cave.